In my 11 years of coaching and 3 decades of being in the gym, I've seen a wide variety of lifters gain at various different rates, and I can identify some of the broader reasons why some people fail and why some people succeed. If you've ever wondered what makes one person achieve superb results after a lifetime of lifting, and I'm talking naturals here, when the other person still looks mediocre, today I'm going to break down the top-down overriding factors I've seen which separate the top naturals from everybody else. And I know this is going to piss some people off before I even say it. Genetics is of course a given, but I think a lot of people use that as an excuse to hide their own mediocrity. So we're going to look at the actionable points today. By the end of this video, you'll know the practical methods to focus on and mindset traps to avoid. If you really let this information sink in, this might be the most useful video you watch this year. Make sure you stick around for point 4, because that is one mindset shift which can both help and harm your progress depending on how you use it. Without further ado, let's get into point 1, and that is the reason that you're not gaining or haven't gained significantly is probably nothing to do with your routine. Now, this is something which I've thought of for years. I think one of the reasons that there is so much discussion around routines, and I'm talking about volume, split, all these types of things, is because that is easy to discuss. In the early days of the internet, 30 years ago or so, when there were message forums, it was very easy to communicate sets, reps, all that type of thing. It's a lot easier to communicate that than it is to actually communicate what really matters, more intangible factors. And I'll tell you what really matters. The difference between you gaining and maintaining is quite simply the last few reps of every set you're not doing. Is it? Like, I've seen that time and time again. It is the one commonality of people who just stay mediocre. You look at them in the gym, it's those final few reps they're not doing. The overwhelming majority of people in any gym at any one given time are skipping out on those last few reps. And all of those people are not making any kind of significant progress at all over years. Now, this type of stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video should speak to you guys a lot, because I'm talking about the breadth of experience of a lifetime. 3 decades in various gyms across the UK, across the world, and trends that I've seen with people who actually gain versus people who just maintain. There are people I know who started the gym at the same time I did 3 decades ago. Not many of them are still doing it, but the ones that are look mediocre. They don't look like they've spent every week inside a gym for the last 3 decades. They look like they've barely seen the inside of a gym ever. What makes those people look like that after a lifetime of lifting? And I'm telling you, it's not your routine, it's not your volume, it's not your split, it's how hard you train. It's the lack of doing those last few reps. Now, I don't doubt for a moment that the majority of my audience train hard. If you're here and you're looking at more niche, smaller accounts on YouTube, you've gotten past the BS of the bigger accounts, then I am not in any doubt that you train reasonably hard. But the difference between training hard versus training the level you need to for the advancement that you want, which is going to make you stand out, is just different. I know plenty of guys who train and get up to the intermediate phase. Let's say you're squatting 3, maybe a bit over for reps, deadlifting 4, maybe a bit over for reps, and equivalent lifts in machines and all of the barbell exercises. Sure, plenty of guys do that. It's not hard. You'll look all right. If you're in a reasonable body fat percentage, you'll look okay as well. But it's not advanced bodybuilding. And I think one of the problems is over time there's become this acceptance. And I've seen it as well. I've seen people accept lower standards, which I think is terrible. I think that's awful. And I think that comes from people just not understanding that intensity is the difference between people gaining or not. Really going all out into a set. That's what people are not willing to do. There is a certain level of both intensity and intent when it comes to watching advanced lifters train. You just don't see that with the regular guy at the gym. They all say they do it. Everyone on the internet is 200 pounds, 8% body fat, and trains like an absolute demon. Of course. You ask them what their numbers are though. You ask them what their measurements are next to their waist. You ask them what their physique picture looks like. All of a sudden we're lacking. Very few people actually do it. And you look around at any gym, all you'll see is constant mediocrity. And the big commonality when I look around is people just not going all the way when it comes to their sets. Somebody's failure will be 3 RAR. Somebody's 1 or 2 RAR will be 6 or 7. Somebody's 2 RAR will be 8 or 10 RAR. This is what I see over and over again. And then, of course, you have the excuses. No, I was training hard. I'm fast twitch. I fail quickly. Or the other excuse. Yeah, no, I do train hard. I've been lifting for 10 years. I train really hard. But you know what? Strength doesn't matter because I'm really tall or I'm really short. The plethora of excuses all boils down to one thing, which is people just lack intensity. And then, of course, you have the excuses on top of that, just to smooth it over, to protect the ego. Fact of the matter is, genetics aside, any average man can reach a standout physique. And I think the average has actually gone down, not gone up over the years, because from what I see in gyms, any number of people, the average guy in the gym now isn't as well built as he was when I first started training back in the early 2000s, late 90s, because the gym population was a lot smaller then. The guys who went to the gym were actually semi-serious about going to the gym, whereas now it's a common activity for any young person or middle-aged or old person. Because it's so much more mainstream, many more people just aren't willing to go there. The other thing is, a lot of people are entering this space from a cardio type of background, from other sports, basically. Running, tennis, badminton, cardio classes, all of those activities, whatever they are, they all reward pacing yourself. That's the big thing. They all reward pacing you and getting through the workout or the session or the event, whatever it is. Lifting is the exact opposite of that. Even CrossFit, like, or High Rocks, all those reward you getting through something, doing it for time. When it comes to bodybuilding and strength training in general, that is the only activity out of all sports that rewards you for going all out and emptying your tank right from the first set. In a given workout, you might have anywhere between 10 to 25 hard working sets. You have a limited number of times where you have to go all out. If you're not willing to empty the tank on all of those working sets, you're not going to get. I'm not speaking about the differences here between failure or RAR, but what I'm saying is the level of effort has to be there alongside the intent. Whatever your RAR or your failure chosen is, I mean, that's a different conversation altogether. I think far too many early intermediates and beginners are focusing on RAR when they don't even know what failure is, which is also what's compounding this problem. Overall, I still think RAR has been a net negative in the space because the people who are out there looking for information and who need it are usually not the ones who should be interested in RAR at all. You've got all these advanced bodybuilders saying, hey, 2 RAR is hard training. Yeah, but it's not for a beginner or an intermediate who don't actually know where failure is, who have never failed, actually genuinely failed in their lifetime. RAR approach for them is a disaster. And one final factor on this point is just getting your life set up to be able to exact that level of intensity. Most people don't have that. I've been to the gym with guys where the first thing they say when they walk in is, oh, Faz, had a terrible night's sleep, man. Feel really dehydrated today. I've openly said to my training partners, if they say that to me, get out of the gym. I don't want that negativity around me. I don't need it. If you're going to say that time and time again, if you come into the gym and go, oh, Faz, I feel like crap, get out of the gym then. Don't infect me with your BS, because I don't want that in my headspace. Every top natural that I know and everyone who I've trained with, they know how to take it to the place. They know how to get their mind right. They know how to go there. Second factor is what worked as a beginner will probably not work as you advance. Now, for me, this has meant a lifetime of learning. The difference between where you are now versus where you want to be, a lot of times it is knowledge, then patience, and a plan. We can all achieve stellar results. I'm not saying we're all going to be the next Mr. Olympia. I mean, that's ridiculous. But what I'm saying is you can achieve results which will blow your mind, like genuinely blow your mind. And it's a knowledge gap. And I find all too often the people who are not willing to learn and to broaden their horizons, whatever it is, whether it's willing to learn new techniques, whether it's willing to learn more about modern day training, or quite simply whether it's willing to acknowledge the fact that they don't train hard, going back to the first point, those people will continue to remain mediocre in an activity where they spend so much time. And it's the same with diet. You know, looking really good as a natural does involve getting leaner most of the time. A leaner physique with the same amount of muscle mass is always going to look more impressive, up to a point, but will always look more impressive. Very often, the stuff you do as a beginner, what got you to the roughly intermediate phase, which you think is gospel, could be absolute BS. And with that statement, I'm talking to you guys who have been at the intermediate stage, or maybe are still at the intermediate stage for a larger period of time than you'd like to admit. I'm talking to you guys here. The stuff you did to get you to where you are now may well have been complete and utter BS. Just let that sink in for a second, because as a beginner, you can do pretty much whatever you want and gain something because of the novelty factor. We can all do that. Getting to a completely untrained to the point where you're an intermediate, it means nothing, because you can do it via almost anything. I mean, we used to joke about that in the early days. Just turning up to the gym and putting weights away for other people could get you some amount of muscle. Very often, this is also true for people who are in their 20s. Hey, I was lean in my 20s. I looked good. Then in my 30s, it all fell apart. What happened? Well, you didn't know what you were doing in the first place. You looked okay because of youth, not because you knew what you were doing. So the point I'm making here is this. What worked for you as a beginner to get those initial beginner easy gains may well need to be completely changed to get you past that level, because you don't need to know what you're doing to get to the intermediate stage. You can land there by luck. So all those things that you thought you knew what you're doing, all those techniques may well be complete and utter BS. And that goes for diet, everything. And I would also say just sloppy habits in general, like lifting sloppy, eating sloppy. All of that you thought was the key, you thought was the solution, has got you this far, may well be the complete opposite of what you need to advance further. So again, it's a knowledge gap. You need way more than that to get truly advanced. Every truly advanced natural that I know knows lifting. Now the proviso is they're actually natural. Being enhanced throws a spanner in the works there. So that is an issue. But when it comes to truly advanced naturals, they all have an intimate knowledge of what lifting is and what it takes. The third point is consistency beats optimal every time. Part of the knowledge gap is actually knowing what to do and sticking to it for long enough. So I break this down into 3 points. First of all, the enjoyment. Now, there are any number of guys in my comments, and I see this all the time, where they say they love bro splits. If you enjoy it and it keeps you in the gym and it allows you to work hard, that is always going to win out. Because again, it boils down to what I've been saying all throughout this video, intensity and learning how to work things for yourself. Enjoyment is a part of consistency. So I would rather somebody choose something which allows them to be consistent rather than what is optimal. Fact of the matter is, in this industry, what is optimal changes every 5 minutes, right? So if you're always chasing that, you're always going to be changing your routines and you're going to be exposed to being a chronic routine changer, which is not going to be any good for your progress. Consistency beats optimal every time. The first factor is enjoyment. You got to actually enjoy what you're doing. I mean, within reason. If you want to go in, do 25 minutes of foam rolling and then hit the Bosu ball, right? You're not going to build a good physique, but you've got to find some level of enjoyment in the pain, in the intensity, and that will help. The second thing is responding to pain. Like, for example, if training a body part 2 or 3 times a week is what's optimal, but it causes you joint pain, don't do it. You may need to train a body part once a week just to be able to train without any pain, and that's fine. Doesn't mean bro splits are any less optimal. If it allows you to be consistent over time, it's going to work. And in that case, if it works for you, remember that. Don't go back to training a body part twice a week just simply because you saw a post on Instagram from your favorite natural influencer. It doesn't matter. What they can do versus what you can do is different. All that matters is you stay consistent with your hard work and intensity, and you stay in the gym and you stay pain-free. Majority pain-free. I will also say one more brutal truth. The idea of training completely without pain is a mirage. Never going to happen. You've got to put up with some kind of pain. We're all going to be in some kind of pain. Third thing is with regards to consistency, time in the gym. The productive time you put in the gym means everything. Another commonality with guys who just don't really achieve after decades of lifting is just time in the gym. They're taking months, weeks off very freely, very easily. At this point in my life, I can't imagine even taking one training session off. All too often I see guys who say, hey, yeah, Faz, I've just come back from a week off. Or I've just come back from a month off lifting. I can't comprehend that. That level of just malaise and laziness doesn't work for me. So for me, consistent time in the gym is super important. So the third point is consistency beats optimal every time. Now with that, let's go on to the final point, which is to do with being happy and content with your physique. Now, I think it's become kind of a cliche to say that you're never going to be happy with your physique. The day you start lifting is the day you feel forever small. Now, I'm here to tell you guys that that's not strictly true. I can say right now, I am happy with my physique. Okay, after 26 years of lifting, where I'm at now, but it's nothing to do with my physique, because you know what? I've been bigger, I've been stronger, but right now I'm happy with my physique. So here's the secret. I'm going to tell you guys now, if you're ready to really hear this. Being happy with your physique generally only comes with being happy with yourself. I would say right now where I'm at in life, in terms of my job, what I do now with my coaching, my personal life, my marriage, my family and everything, I'm in a place where I'm genuinely, truly happy and content. Like if it was to all end tomorrow, right, I could go out thinking, you know what, I was happy. And I think that is the main reason for why I'm happy with my physique, because I'm generally just at peace with who I am, where I am in the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have goals. I have goals for YouTube and goals for a lot of things in life. But generally, if you were to ask me, Faz, are you happy? Yes, I am. And as an extension of that, I'm also satisfied and happy with my physique. And yeah, I still have goals for my physique too, but I'm happy. Now, when you're unhappy, there is also potentially upsides to that too, because you probably are going to work harder. You've just got to be able to tame that beast. It's like earning money when you're broke. There's no one who works harder than the guy who's broke and needs money. Rocky in part 3, why did he lose the belt? It's because he got soft. That's a reflection of human nature. It's the same thing. So similar to your physique, I think there is an advantage to being young and hungry and angry at the world. That was me when I turned 18 and I started lifting. That caused me to deliver a level of intensity in those early days which didn't match my experience level. I started year 1 in the gym with a level of intensity which most people don't have, which you just don't see very often anymore. I'm glad there were no cameras around, because I started with that cringe level of intensity which had me sort of ranting and raving and screaming at the gym. Like, that was how I started, but which, yeah, it was a bit cringe looking back, but the fact of the matter is it was very good for training intensity. And I think I had that because I was young, I was hungry, I was angry. I don't have that anymore. Fortunately now, after a lifetime of lifting, I'm able to switch it on when I want to switch it on. But the point is, a lot of guys don't have that experience and they come into the gym very satisfied with stuff. And what I've noticed with every lifter who has the ability to go there, they have a certain level of hunger or even dysfunction in some cases. And that is what they draw on to lift hard. It's sort of a revolving door, okay? On the one hand, that motivation can be insanely productive if you're able to channel it in the right way. And as long as it doesn't eat you up inside, as long as that inner anger and angst doesn't actually do anything negative, as long as you can draw on it in a positive way and get it out of your system. But then on the other hand, you can be truly happy when you are happy with yourself as a person, where you are in life and what you've achieved and what you've accomplished. And that is when you can truly say to yourself, you know what, life's good, I feel good about myself, every part of me, including my physique. And I would say, if that comes too early, you're going to be in trouble. You know, if that comes right in your 20s when you're starting to lift, that feeling of competence or feeling of relaxation or feeling content with the world might be difficult to really draw on some inner demons to lift hard and heavy. I think if that comes later in life, like myself, I've had those 3 decades of lifting experience where I can draw on those emotions and just that mindset to get me in the mood and flick that switch. But ultimately, as I say, there are pros and cons. As with everything, you should be able to harness it to help you and not abuse it to the point where it hurts you. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it there, but that was 4 brutal truths about natural bodybuilding, things that I've observed over a lifetime of lifting. I would love to hear what your brutal truth is. Please do comment below and let me know. And also, if you're interested in coaching, there's a link in the description. Get in touch and let's talk. I hope you have a good week. All the best.